Right, here we go. So, last call. Put a bit of brake cleaner on there. And don't do yourself a mystery bending over. See how nice and dry that is now? Lovely jubbly. The next one, we're going to use some high-low sill on this because it's metal to metal. The high-low sill will do two things. It'll allow a bit of flexibility. Oh, we're going to use the white stuff. That'll look good, won't it? If you can see on here, this gasket is raised ever so slightly. This is why I can't use the old ones again, because that one, as you can see, has gone flat. And I think honestly the reason why it leaked was that we've got pressure up in this engine now, and also the bolts weren't very tight. Kaput. You could use black high-low sill, but I used this for a gearbox the other day, so I thought, well, I might as well use it up before it goes dry, you know. But it's like oil. Put a bit on so it's got room to manoeuvre, but we don't want it going in the aperture itself. You know what I mean? Put a bit on. There we go. There's the top one. Here we are. I'm quite surprised that hasn't dried out yet. So we'll smear it around a bit with our finger. Like I say, we don't want it to go into the aperture. My old jacket's getting a bit knackered now. Put it on the stud, and then that will help it stick in place a little bit, if you see what I mean. And then we'll go and get the cover. When the bolts are in, you can see they don't go through very far. Now I've had a look through the book and it says 25 Newton meters for these. I think there must have been about 2 Newton meters before. Everything's clean, everything's good to go. Gasket's dropped down again because I was talking. Let's get it on, like Marvin used to say. Now, let's put that all to back a bit. Come on. Alternator's getting to be a bit of a pig. There we go. Now you'll have to put your hand underneath and lift that gasket up a bit and start your bolts off. Get that a bit squarer and start these with your fingers. Don't put a gun on them and speed up the job. Be very, very careful. Like I say, these don't have great big long threads, so there's not much to bugger up. In other words, yeah, you probably see how easy they are to put those bolts in. Really easy. There we are. Now, 25 Newton meters is set on the tecton. Now I'm just sort of gently going around these 3 first. These are the most important ones, if you see what I mean. Go around them evenly. It was on 25 Newton meters, not 25 pounds, was it? Yeah. There. 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 Next, we'll go around these and tighten these up to the same. £25 isn't much, but it certainly wasn't 25 Newton meters when we took those off, because I took it off with a quarter drive, I seem to remember. There. What about that then? This nut here was 45, I do believe. I brought the paper out, look. Printed it out. Here's one thing, I'll tell you, I printed this out of the workshop manual. There exists a book, the 300 TDI Rebuild Manual. It's absolute rubbish. Most of it's missing. So I went on a Disco 1 workshop manual and looked at it, and lo and behold, there it is. Tensioner timing belt is 45. Yeah, water pump to mounting bracket, water pulley, and the pulley bolts are 25 Newton meters too. It seems to be that all 8mm threads are 25 Newton meters, so that's kind of easy to work out. What about that bolt behind there? Auxiliary mounting bracket to... Oh, there's the stud. Oh, there's the nut. So it's 25 Newton meters again. See, the difference is when you mount these up with guns and things like that, they can be way out, you know. And also, by putting extension bars on doesn't help you get your correct torque, but you'll be close, because they're only small. There you go. That's that. Next thing we're going to do, it's just like I say in the Haynes manual, it's the reverse of taking it all to bits. Once we've got this water pump and everything's tightened up and torqued down properly, we're not going to forget the bottom bolt that goes, there's two bolts that goes in at the bottom. One's a nut and one's a bolt. That's, you know, the tricky one I had a job trying to get out. They're both 25 Newton meters, so it's not a big deal, but that's that one in. We'll find the nut. It is here. Now, we've got to try and get that bolt through, because we had a bit of a tricky job with it before. Ah, there it is. Come on. There we go. Well, that naturally is on a locking nut. Makes my life a little bit more interesting. Tighten it up. Use a ratchet to get into it, I think. Oh, use a ratchet with a 13mm on it. Never mind that one. I'm sure this place is haunted. Keeps moving my sockets around. Right, let's have another go. Right, it's almost snipped up. I'll put the torque wrench on it. This is for the 13mm bolt, headed bolt. Of course, everything's in your way. Right into the spanner on. It's very difficult to see, it's very dark. Oh, we're off. I keep getting tangled up on the pump. The ratchet on the torque wrench is very coarse. It doesn't mean it's swearing. I've just rechecked my spanner decided to go for another wash. It's a very coarse ratchet, so it's you have a wide span to get round it, you know. That's why we have a lot of mechanics prefer fine ratchets, you know. Come on, you're nearly there. At least you can see the troubles I have. So all that bad boy's going to get. I'm funny about them. Don't forget the 10mm headed one. I know what it is, it's these bolts here sticking out. I keep it in these. Let's take these out because it won't be long before I put this back on. Right, now let's see if we can get into it. Try along the ratchet. Just can't get in. Right. Ta-da! Next thing I'm going to do is put the pump on, the power steering pump, and that should just bolt straight up there. We shouldn't be having much change in that because we haven't really moved anything. There's the bolts. I always start these bolts off by hand into aluminium. Don't be going rattling in with a gun because you can easily cross threads. It's so easy to do. Once you've got them, once they're started, they're fine. Sometimes you have to wiggle the bracket around a bit and never tighten. When you've got like 4 bolts, don't tighten 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time before all the bolts are in. In other words, you know, put the bolts in, then tighten them up, because otherwise they could be out a little bit. I'll torque those down. We'll come back. With those torqued down, the next thing is to put the alternator on. I've already got the bolt with some anti-seize on, and I'm going to slip it into place. This is one of the, I don't know if you can see if I lift this up a bit. No, you can't see very well. I'll show you in a minute. But the reason why I knocked it back a little bit with the hammer was so that we can easily get this bolt back in. I say easy. Oops, easy. There's the hole. There it is. And then put the nut on, but don't tighten it up yet. Because we've got the bottom bolt to go in. You know, this one with a little flat on here. I don't know what that was all about. Then we can get to the bottom alternator going. And believe me, it's far easier doing it like this than with all the shroud and bits and pieces on. Let's see, I'll just spin it down with it. It's a bit of a fiddle about, isn't it? You don't want to be doing this at the side of the road. See, I didn't want to take the radiator out. If you did take the radiator out, you could use some sort of a power tool and zip them down, you know, my regular little gun thing, but in this instance we can't. 10 mil. Electric on it. So all that's going to get. And the same for the top bolt. To wind it down a bit first. Right there yet. So that's going to get. That's that done. Next thing, we can put the pulleys back on. So let's grab them. The water pump doesn't have, it has the grooves in at the top. It's a little bit tricky to get lined up, but not impossible. There we go, 1, 2, 3. Oops. And then the power steering pump would be exactly the same. Take the bolts out. You can see round here when I put the Hylomar on, it hasn't squidged out all over. You know, you should get people put silicone and it's like a foot thick. You can't get to your job. We're going to check the pulleys. There's something not quite right with this. I'm not really happy with this because I wonder if somebody's put this on backwards. Does it matter? Well, we're looking for a mark that says front. There we go. So it was put on the right way around. But look how close that belt is running to this edge here. Why is that?